Good afternoon, or technically, yeah, I can say it. Good evening, everybody. So, I'm gonna do like a little, video here. This is gonna be kind of my take on, Pokemon, well, Scarlet, because that's the one that I've played, and I did finish it. Like, I didn't, like, catch any leisure, but I did finish, like, all the main story stuff, and I got to the main credits. Hold on. Okay, we're back on. Okay, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, this is gonna be kind of like my video about my thoughts about Scarlet and Violet. Not well about Pokemon Scarlet. Now that I've basically completed the game all the way up until like the end credits. The only thing I haven't done is the whole legendary scavenger hunt thing you have to do at the end. But I did do the requirement that's necessary in order to get 6-star raids, and I'll get to my opinion about that in just a moment. First, I have to say, even though like I'm not complaining about like the minor stuff, like the minor like things that are going in the game, but my complaints were more addressed about the more severe stuff, like the crashing and the memory leaks. Yeah, even after that update that they did, it still didn't really address all of that. I don't even know what they did in that update, to tell you the truth. Because to me, it just looks exactly the same as it was. So, not sure what they were updating there in that update. I think the one that released December 1st, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm going to discuss my opinions about the overall story. Like the game, yeah, I admit it's fun. Even though it's glitchy, it's fun anyway. But still, it doesn't, excuse at all, and I'm not justifying it whatsoever, how Game Freak, released this game, and in the state that it was released, it needed more time in the oven, that's for sure. I'm not gonna give Game Freak or the Pokemon Company a free pass on that, because, nah, that's not okay. They should have done a much better job at ensuring that we get a game that that we get the quality that we as the consumer deserve. I mean, for bloody Pete's sake, the Pokemon Company and Game Freak the Pokemon Company itself is like a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They have the funds for it, and Game Freak themselves also have the funds for it. So it's not like it's a money thing. It's just a pure incompetence thing, and that's what kind of gets me, because like, okay, you essentially charged everybody's full price for basically a beta, because that's the state the game was released in. It was basically a beta. It wasn't a full finished product. Now, I'm going to discuss the story, and this is going to be, frankly, just my opinion about the story, so feel free to agree, feel free to disagree with it. It's up to you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to discuss I'm going to discuss the Team Star story, because it's kind of interesting. I see what they were going for, but it almost, to me, kind of seems like they were trying to do, like, Team Skull 2.0, but with a more in-depth story. I am glad that they put more of an in-depth story, that, when it begins, and I'm going to say it flat out, this video may contain spoilers, so at this point, the game's been out for a while, so at this point it's fair game, but I'm just warning people ahead of time, so that way people don't bitch and whine at me. So the whole story about the Team Star, it is pretty interesting. At first, they look like just a bunch of, hooligans, but it turns out, in the end, they were just basically victims of bullying, and I did like that story. That story was pretty interesting. I mean, it is Pokemon. It's not going to be, like, really thick. I mean, most plots in Pokemon are generally paper thin. And also, they did whatever they could do, but it's okay. And then the Titan thing, that's pretty interesting. How it all, like, how you basically have to do, but it is kind of, I would say it's kind of mad that they lock your ride Pokemon abilities behind the Titans. Basically, if you want to unlock more abilities for your ride Pokemon, you basically have to do the Titans. Otherwise, you're basically you're locked away from flying and gliding and that whole speed thing where it lets you go a little bit faster. And you're locked out of swimming. You basically can't access any of the water areas until you do that particular Titan that unlocks that particular ability. But at least the good part is you can do it in whichever order you want. Just be warned, since the game has no level scaling, since there's no level scaling in the game, you may end up, if you don't follow a guide, you may end up in the area that you wish you hadn't, and you may end up facing a Titan that you just won't be able to beat because it'll be at a vast higher level than you are. So yeah, it is interesting how they leave it open-ended, more or less. But the thing is, there's consequences if you don't follow a guide, and the consequence is you're gonna have your butt handed to you over and over again. I haven't had that experience because I myself followed a guide, because the way my brain works, because I have freaking ADHD, the way my brain works is I need to have a list in front of me, and I need to have like steps, here's step 1, 2, 3, so forth, because I have to have it like in a list and organized, otherwise I just panic and I just lose my mind. But that's just me. But I'm going to tell people straight up, if you don't follow a guide, you run the risk of possibly being in a situation where you won't be able to win. Same thing can happen with gyms too, because the gym, there's literally zero level scaling at all. Even the gyms don't level scale. So if you end up in an area ahead of time, I mean, you could. It'll be difficult to get there without, all the abilities of your right Pokemon, but you can get there, but if you do, it's gonna be a challenge, and you do have to be careful because there are some areas. I've heard a story of this one guy. He ended up facing the psychic gym ahead of time, and he got his butt handed to him because the psychic gym was underleveled essentially. But then again, that's my thing. But the Team Star story, it was interesting, but it's Pokemon. And the Titan stories is interesting too. And then the whole gym leader thing, that's basically standard Pokemon. Just go to the gyms and do what you need to do. Although, I will have to say, the most convoluted test of all the gym tests was the freaking normal type. I mean, you literally had to go around town, and you had to basically do it in such a specific order that if you don't do it in the right order, you won't get the correct phrase that you need, and you won't be able to, and you have to order that exact item. You basically have to remember that phrase and order that exact item, otherwise you just won't be able to battle the gym leader. And that's a bit convoluted. I mean, I literally had to straight up look up a guide for that. Because there was no other way to do it. It was just incredibly convoluted to me. I mean, all the other gym tests were okay, even though they were a bit like, and the electric type gym leader, let's just say she was definitely a personality, and the test was kind of weird too. It was basically just kind of a game of I Spy, essentially. But it wasn't as convoluted as the normal. For the normal gym test definitely wins the prize for being most convoluted, in my opinion, because it's not a good sign when you have to look up a guide just to complete the gym test. Just saying. But that's just my opinion. But and then after you complete the whole 3 stories thing, because I did I did the guide, and the guide ultimately I was able to complete all 3 paths. The overall story and this is where I'm going to say spoiler alert, people, so if you don't want to hear this, feel free to skip over, ladies and gentlemen, because there's going to be some spoilers here. And I did find it quite interesting that this game actually, it doesn't even hint at it. I know previous games have talked about death, but this game straight up talks about it. And in this game, the actual professor in both versions is basically dead. It's basically the professor is basically a robot or AI. And I do find that interesting that that in this game the professor is actually dead. The professor ends up actually dying, protecting the legendary Pokemon, which I find interesting, and I am interested to I am kind of interested to kind of find I am interested in finding out how the actual anime is gonna approach that subject, because I know they're a bit when it comes to approaching the subject of death, they're let's just say what you can do in video games is quite different than what you can do on TV, because different rules, way different rules, especially when you're dealing with the what is it, FCC or not? I think it's like FCC or basically whatever entity that's in charge of broadcasting. That's why some things you can do on like on games, but other things, those things that may be okay on the games may not necessarily be okay on TV. So it's intriguing to find out exactly how they're going to approach that whole situation where the professor died and the professor is a robot. But ultimately, I did feel kind of sad for that kid, Arvin. I think I'm pronouncing the name right. For Arvin, yeah, I kind of felt really really sad for that kid, because in the end he basically loses his parent and becomes an orphan. And it is kind of interesting how there's literally two legendary Pokemon. In Scarlet, the Pokemon comes from the past. In Violet, of course, the Pokemon's going to come from the future, because once again they did like a whole time travel thing. Although at least in this one they straight up say it's a time machine and not some sort of, entity or Pokemon doing the time travel, and it's actually somebody that built a machine. So they did put a bit more effort into it. Although that room where you face the final battle, all I have to say is get ready for your brain to go, because when I first entered that room, it was really, really sparkly. All I have to say is my brain just went for a moment, and I was like, okay, really bright room. But anywho, it was still pretty interesting. And then after the credits roll, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If you want to unlock 6-star raids, guess what you have to do? After you've completed the whole story, all 3 paths, including the last ending, and got the end credits, you basically have to re-challenge all of the gyms again. And if you're over-leveled, this should be a cakewalk, because in my particular case, I was vastly over-leveled. The gyms, I basically breezed through the gyms. And speaking of that, the gym battles were okay. The Elite Four, because I got to a point where I was basically over-leveled, so the Elite Four was basically a joke to me because no level scaling, so I was able to basically sweep through them. And the champion also was a joke. I was able to sweep through her fairly easy. I just terastallized just for the heck of it, because I really didn't even have to terastallize. I could have just beaten her without even doing it. But that's my opinion about the whole champion battle in Elite Four. I mean, yeah, if you want, the problem is there's no way to turn off experience share. So, yeah, you can get like low level Pokemon on your team and try to do that if you want a challenge. But otherwise, it is vastly very, and I mean very, very easy to overlevel yourself in this game. And I've done that, and to me it was okay. I was like, fine, it works for me. I'm able to get through this without having too much difficulty, because out of all the Elite Four, of all the Elite Fours and champions that I've faced, and let's just say the one final champion battle that actually gave me trouble was the one in Sun, but that was because I was kind of sleepy at the time I was doing it too. But still, the champion battle and the Elite Four battle, oh boy. Let's just say for me it was in my personal experience, they were a joke. I swept through the Elite Four and the champion. Like, literally, it took me less than 10 minutes to get through all of them. And I was surprised, though, even with the patch, and this was before I got the December 1st patch they released. I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. The Elite Four, I didn't really notice anything with the music. Then again, I didn't really notice much music. I think there was some music with the champion, but that's about it. But then after all of that, and after you complete the main story and the credits roll, here is the kind of bullshitty part that you have to do. To unlock 6-star raids, you have to basically defeat all the gym leaders again, which is kind of easy if you have all of your abilities on your ride Pokemon unlocked, so you can just easily fly from one area to another. And also, Pokemon centers are also your fly points, so you can fly to the Pokemon center once you have unlocked it. If you visit the Pokemon Center one time, you can fly back there at any given point, which is nice. But the other thing is, after you've done that, you also have to participate in that whole big battle event thing in the academy, and you have to win. And after you've won, you have to do, I believe, like 10 5 stars, either 5-star or 4-star raids. I'm probably wrong, but you have to basically do 10 like 5-star raids in a row, and you have to win. I believe you have to win those raids. I'm not sure, but I think you have to win those raids. And after you've basically beaten all the gym leaders again, went through the whole school battle contest and won that, you have to do 10 more, I believe, 5-star raids. Because that's as high as you can go. So you have to do like 10 5-star raids, and then after you've done that, you have to basically you'll receive like a call in the game, and a cutscene will trigger. After that, just look for like the black rocks, the 6-star raids, kind of have like the purplish background thing on it. But after that, once you basically unlocked it, at that point you can basically challenge 6-star raids, and they'll start appearing on your overworld and on your stamps as well, or the Pokeportal thing, whatever it's called. I'm referring it to stamps because that's what it basically is. But other than that part was kind of annoying to me personally, because it's like, you have to do all of that convoluted stuff just to unlock a feature of the game. I'm like, okay, fine. And then and don't even get me started about the convolutedness that you have to do to get those other legendaries. You literally have to go around the map hunting for specific like stakes and stuff. I haven't done that myself because at this point I may probably do it, may not, because at this point, I'm probably just gonna see if I can get the legendaries through trade or something, because I really don't want to have to go through that convoluted mess, because I already went through enough convolutedness just to unlock 6 stars. And also at this point, I'm just relaxing, and well, today I'm not on my game because I have other stuff that I need to do tomorrow, so that's why I'm just doing this little quick video and kind of relaxing. Well, usually when I do play, I just play usually with my friend, and we just do raids. Like yesterday, we had a pretty interesting time. We did that Tyranitar raid and the Salamence raid. I was able to get quite a few of them, of the Salamances. Although it was kind of frustrating that people were not being team players and, doing dumb things, but that's kind of the nature of the beast. When you try to join in raids, you may have people who know what they're doing, and you may have people who just don't know what they're doing. And then you just have people who just act like total trolls and purposefully lose to mess people over. That is not okay. If you're going to play online, play fairly. That's all I'm going to say. And don't be a troll. But that's my opinion about the situation. Anywho, for me, I had fun in the games, and even despite the glitches, and despite the freaking heart attack moments that me and my friend have had, that needs to be fixed. The memory leak issue definitely needs to be addressed, because that's not okay. It's never okay when a game crashes to the point where the entire Switch operating system goes down. That's not okay. That is something that Game Freak needs to be called out for. And also, if it's like a game-breaking glitch or something that basically causes continuous crashing, yeah, that needs to be called out. But like the minor stuff, okay, I understand people shouldn't be like, review bombing for the minor stuff, because people kind of knew what they were getting when the trailers came out. People kind of knew what they were getting. Judging, they saw the trailers. You knew the kind of graphics you were gonna get. But the game breaking stuff and the crashes and the memory leaks, that needs to be addressed and fixed, because that's not okay. That's not okay in my book. Ultimately, to summon my whole review, or whatever the heck you want to call this up, I'll just call it my opinion about the games. But to summon this whole thing up, the games definitely needed more time in the oven when it comes to quality, and Game Freak and the Pokemon Company definitely screwed up when it comes to quality. But despite those glitches, I'm not excusing Game Freak or the Pokemon Company for any of those major glitches that are causing crashes and causing game-breaking stuff to happen. I'm not gonna let that slide. The minor stuff, okay, I can live with it. I knew what I was getting into ahead of time because I saw all the trailers. But the game-breaking stuff, the memory leaks, no, that's not okay, and Game Freak needs to be held accountable for that, and the Pokemon Company needs to also be held accountable for that, because it's their IP. Both Game Freak and the Pokemon Company are responsible, and they do have a duty to us, the consumer, to deliver a product that's good quality. But aside from that, I personally had fun, I'm gonna say, and if you have fun with the games, all the power to you. And I'm not gonna complain about like the minor stuff, like the whole trainer disappearing thing, or my right Pokemon disappearing. That's like minor things. I'm basically more concerned about the memory leaks and the crashes and the system crash that occurred with my friend's console, because the game decided to completely lock up to the point where the entire system crashed. That's what's concerning me. But ultimately, I am going to say I had fun, even though the game is a glitchy mess. And I will say that the game is a glitchy mess. Because I'm not going to be one of those fanboys who's going to say that it's absolutely perfect. No, it's not absolutely perfect. It is a glitchy mess. But ultimately, I did have fun. So, for me, it was okay. The stories were alright. The part where I had to do some convoluted stuff, to basically just re-challenging the gym leaders, and basically that whole little competition thing that I had to do just to unlock 6-star raids, that was a little bit bullshitty, but it is what it is at this point. Anywho, I think this video, how long has it been? Oh yeah, almost 23 minutes, so I think this video has gone long enough as it is. I'm going to conclude this video for now. Feel free to comment, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all on my next video, whenever it is and whatever it is. Have a good day and or night, everybody. Bye-bye.